Hi everyone, this is U.S. immigration lawyer Michael Ashoori, and in today's video we're going to talk about the K-1 visa requirements. The K-1 visa is the Fiancé visa, and with that, let's get started. So the first thing is, what is the K-1 visa? Basically, the K-1 visa is a visa which allows a U.S. citizen to bring their foreign fiancé to the United States. Once the foreign fiancé is in the United States, the couple gets married. And then after the couple gets married, the fiancé can apply for their green card in the United States by doing what's called an adjustment of status. And the foreign fiancé can get their green card in the United States without leaving. So that's the K-1 visa. It's a very powerful immigration option. And with that quick intro, now let's talk about what you're here for, which are the K-1 visa requirements. These are the requirements to qualify for a K-1 visa. And with that said, the first requirement is that the petitioner must be a U.S. citizen. In order to be eligible for a fiancé visa, the person in the United States that's applying for their foreign fiancé must be a U.S. citizen. If you are a permanent resident, if you have a green card, you are not eligible to apply for a fiancé visa for your spouse. You must be a U.S. citizen. That's the first requirement. The second requirement is that both parties must be free to marry. What this means is that if you've been previously married, all prior marriages must be completely dissolved, terminated. If you were previously married, you must have a divorce decree showing that the marriage, if you're divorced, any previous marriages must be terminated in order to be eligible to do a fiancé visa. So that's requirement number 2. The third requirement is that both parties must have the intent to get married within 90 days of the foreign fiancé's entry to the United States. So as I mentioned a little bit earlier in this video, the way a fiancé visa works is that the U.S. citizen applies for their foreign fiancé. The foreign fiancé comes to the United States. Both parties get married within 90 days, and then the foreign fiancé applies for their green card in the United States by doing an adjustment of status. One of the requirements is that when you're applying for the fiancé visa, both the U.S. citizen and the foreign fiancé must have the intent. They must intend to get married within 90 days of the foreign fiancé's entry to the United States. That's this requirement right here. Now, finally, the last requirement for a fiancé visa is that you and your fiancé must have met in person within the last 2 years prior to filing the K-1 visa petition. This is what's called the physical meeting requirement. So what the regulations are trying to do here is to prevent situations like a mail order bride or something like that. The regulations actually intend that you have met your fiancé in person within the last 2 years prior to filing the K-1 visa petition. Now, a lot of people ask, are there any exceptions to this? And the answer is yes. There are 2 exceptions to the physical meeting requirement. The first exception is what's called the extreme hardship exception. And the extreme hardship exception is basically for couples where it would cause an extreme hardship for the parties to meet. For example, if one party has certain medical issues that prevent travel, or perhaps if there's some sort of a political turmoil or political tension in the country that the fiancé is located in, which would make travel and visiting each other extremely difficult. So those are some examples of the extreme hardship exception. Another exception is called the established custom exception. So for example, if there are certain long-standing cultural or religious beliefs which are preventing you and your fiancé from meeting each other, then you may fall within the established custom exception. Now, it's important that if you're planning on relying on either of these exceptions, it's not enough to just say that that you fall into these categories. You have to actually present evidence demonstrating that you satisfy one of these exceptions. For example, if you're going to say that you belong to part of a religious group that does not believe in in-person meetings with your fiance before marriage, you have to be prepared to present evidence, perhaps with getting a letter or a declaration signed by a religious authority attesting to the validity of that custom or that religious observance, and then perhaps also getting letters from friends and family attesting to the fact that you actually belong to that religion or that custom that you're claiming. So those are just some tips on relying on exceptions. So yeah, as a quick overview, there's 4 requirements to qualify for the fiancé visa. The first one is that the petitioner must be a U.S. citizen. The second one is that both parties must be free to get married. The third requirement is that both parties must have the intent to get married within 90 days of the foreign fiancé's entry to the United States. And lastly, the fourth requirement is that the parties must have met in person within the last 2 years. Again, there's 2 exceptions, the extreme hardship exception and the established custom exception. Now, I hope you guys found this video extremely helpful. If you did, please go ahead and like the video and subscribe to our channel. When you like and subscribe, it really helps us out. And also, you'll get notified, especially if you subscribe, you'll get notified to all of our videos that we're posting. We're constantly putting out US immigration videos, so it's very valuable to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions whatsoever, I've put all my contact details in the description below. I've also included a special link where you can go ahead and schedule a free consultation with my office. Again, we're a U.S. immigration law firm, and we'd be happy to discuss with you if you have any questions. Go ahead and click the consultation link, schedule whatever time works for you, and we'd be happy to discuss with you. As always, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next video.